You're listening to From a Certain Point of View, the only Star Wars podcast to be nominated for 3 daytime Emmys, 1.5 Peabodys, and the winner of Nobel Peace Prize. And the winner of a Nobel Peace Prize. I fucking quit. And the winner of a Nobel Peace Prize for writing Kathleen Kennedy's Casting Couch, a fanfic erotica.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a mouthful.
That is a mouthful.
That's what Kathleen Kennedy said.
Oh,
I am Jason, the Angry Ginger Jedi Guy. I'm broadcasting live from inside my own Wookiee Poo studios. I'm not alone. I'm going to bring in Darth Mathias, where he's going to take over and talk so I can sleep.
I have to carry the whole show?
Yeah.
Well, you got some rage coming, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
Before we get into that, you can find our show From a Certain Point of View, Twitter, FACPApod, email, FACPApod@gmail, and we are part of the Podawans podcast network at Podawans. Now, we have a giveaway going, and a way to get involved in that giveaway for the Mandalorian Pulse Blaster. Mandalorian Nerf Pulse Blaster. It's hard to say that.
We got a lot of mouthfuls going on tonight.
Oh, so many. And to get entries into that, to win it, which will be running all the way through the Mandalorian season, you need to answer our question of the week on Twitter or send us a Maul Bag email, which we got some this week. So we satisfied the quota of at least 2, so we will be reading them. Or you can write a review. We would love reviews. Really appreciate that. So please do that. Just as a reminder, we are supporting the Clashing Sabers book drive, so go check them out. go.rallyup.com/thebookbatch. You can donate money, earn cool prizes, and it helps put some Star Wars books in classrooms. Also, coming up on February 7th, it is Star Wars Podcast Day. So
yes,
a lot of different podcasts participate in this. It's just basically putting out some sort of episode on that day to celebrate. I believe it's celebrating the first ever Star Wars podcast launch many years ago.
Yep.
So we haven't done that in the past, I think, just because we haven't got our shit together. But this year we'll do it, kind of a special one-off episode, because as you'll find out as we get closer to it, we're going to have a little gap in our release schedule because of competing vacations. So this will be the last thing we put out right
Mine's
before.
going to be better than yours.
I don't know about that.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Arizona on a boys trip.
Yeah, I'll be in Disney drinking around the world with my daughter, my sister, and her daughter. That'll be fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying yours isn't going to be fun, but mine's going to require quite a recovery. Yeah,
okay. Well, see, I don't know if that's fun anymore. Like, I like to have some beer, but I don't like when I have to, recover from it.
Yeah, that's fair. But
although I'm drinking around the world, so what was that? I think I looked it up. It was 12 continents they have, I think it is, in Epcot. You'd have a drink at each one.
Oh, wow.
So that's quite a few drinks.
That is a lot of drinks, yeah.
Right, so I think I'm just going to split. I'm going to split one with my daughter. But did you... A couple of things. One, we're going to be reading chapter 1 from our erotica novel as part of the Star Wars special day, right?
I hope so.
Okay. I'll write it if you'll read it.
Sure.
Can I make you blush?
Yeah,
and the other thing is, speaking of sex, did you take your centerfold picture with you and the Nerf blaster on the bed?
I've not had an opportunity to do that yet. Every time I hand the phone to my lady friend, she's like, "What am I doing? No, you're not doing this." So can't get her to do it. I might have to set it up on a timer.
I was gonna say I'll send you a tripod.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
For Mike Laybourne. All right. Let's find out what's on the show today. We got a list here. 5 things. First up, question of the week. A good batch of droids? News. So who's playing Thrawn? Lies and Pawns or Lars and Thrawn? I added that. Thank you. That. Skeleton Crew has wrapped. Everybody wants to come back. And I got a little speculation here. Maybe I'll go into it. Maybe I won't. I'm trying to debate whether I feel good about this or not. But Ghost Track 17 we talked about last week. Royalty or Railty? Bad Batch episode 5, Entombed. We're going to spend 4 minutes on it. Going to the Maul Bag. 4 emails. 5, FACPAtoid. Favloni better watch their backs. Ooh. Signed, the Angry Ginger.
Oh, boy. Mm-hmm. Okay, looking forward to that. So first up is our question of the week. This is the one I put out on Twitter, I think on Monday. And I said this week, being last week, the Bad Batch brought us another fun droid, talking about Teo.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite droid from the Bad Batch series so far and why? And this could include, ones we knew before or that were introduced to us in the Bad Batch. And I threw out Teo, Gonki, AZ3, Clink, someone else. So we got some answers. So I want to run through those really quick. Did you have a favorite droid you wanted to throw out?
Well, no, I just want to say I hope everyone fell in love with the droid in this episode this week.
Mel?
Yeah.
Well. Poor Mel.
Because I feel like Mel. Like I would have stood there and taken the laser to the chest.
Go after me. Take me.
Yeah. Even if it wasn't coming toward me, like I would have ran into it.
Well, maybe
just to
Mel
get
was
out of
doing
that
it on
fucking
purpose.
episode.
Mel could have done like Serpentine, but just went straight and just stayed right on that course.
Yeah, that little fucking flat-footed fucker wasn't running zigzag anywhere.
Anyway, so Scarif Podcast says, I really liked this droid's ass. I always maintain that Star Wars has a way of creating some really funny droid characters, mostly all across the board. And I'm trying to think. Oh, sorry. Let me say that again.
This droid's ass.
Sass.
Oh. I'm trying to think of like a droid with an ass.
He was talking about Teo.
Okay.
Oh, this droid's ass. Sass would be the proper word there. I did write it down or type it in right. Okay.
We got an episode title. Droid's ass.
The Backyard TARDIS says, what I like about him is he's talking about Teo, is he's voiced by Ben Schwartz, voice of Sonic, as we talked about last week, and has a personality like Sonic. Also, he's got blue on him because Ben Schwartz always voices blue characters. Did you know this?
BB-8 wasn't blue.
BB-8 has some blue on him. A little bit of blue.
Okay.
Ben Schwartz himself tweeted out this week and said something about another blue character. Like even he was throwing it out there. For some reason, characters he does voices for always have blue in them. So there you go. Yeah. Fun fact. That's almost a factoid. Or a FACPAtoid. Next up is Moncala Musings. The correct answer is probably AZ for plot importance and emotional resonance. But last week, this guy glup shittoed his way right into my heart, and it's a picture. It's a picture of what was the name of that droid? It's the battle droid with the head, the droid head, and the 3PO body. Oh, as Quick Drag Quasar is his name.
Okay.
The one doing the little like shooter, the guns.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you know this glup shitto reference?
No.
Okay, I've seen it before and I've never really paid attention to it. Essentially, it's like a reference to an obscure character that we don't know a lot about.
Another FACPAtoid. Here we go.
Yeah, there you go. Bonus FACPAtoid. Like I suppose Wilro Hood would be.
Yeah.
Like in that glup shitto thing. And people will make jokes about it, like, oh, glup shitto's in this series. Great. And it's just this weird little funny bullshit thing that gets thrown around. I'm probably explaining it poorly, but that was my understanding of it. But I appreciate.
So it's a character.
There is not an actual character named glup shitto. It's a reference to all sorts of different characters, obscure characters, etc.
Okay, like if they're unnamed or something.
Yeah, like no backstory. You only see them once, that kind of thing.
All right.
Yeah. So that's what Moncala was getting at. Next up is Mike Laybourne. I'll give you a clue. I can't hear this droid's name without hearing this song, and he links to a clip of the Red Hot Chili Peppers singing that "Hey-O" song.
Okay,
that's how he hears it when he thinks of Teo. And of course, I said to him, "How fucking dare you give me Red Hot Chili Peppers? I can't stand them." No points for you, Mike.
Not a Kiedis fan, huh?
No.
Okay.
God, no. Next up, Brian Auer. Need Wrecker to mount his new toy to Gonky. Portable, stable fire suppression. Ooh. Remember that rocket thing he had from the tank? That cannon?
Yeah.
Slap that on. We haven't seen Gonky, have we? Have we seen
I don't
Gonky?
think we've seen him this season. Well, I don't even know if we've been inside the ship this season, have we?
A couple
We've
times.
seen like from the bay door of them coming out and stuff.
Yeah, there were a couple times where there's conversations like Echo and Omega
you're right.
had conversations.
Even in this
on board.
episode, I think, because you saw Hunter sitting in the doorway. But that was her ship, right?
Well,
there's
there's
P's ship.
P.
Yeah.
P Genoa.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there's been a couple times where they've shown them on their ship, but they have not shown. I mean, now Gonky's always kind of lurking around and kind of blends in with the scenery, but at the same time,
I guess I've never noticed him not. He's always been in the ship with them. Like Wrecker will grab him and lift him up, or he'll run into somebody and hit him, like in a space crash or some shit. But I'm trying to think if I've ever realized him outside of the ship.
Well, remember R2 serving drinks on Jabba's barge? He could certainly do that at the bar. It's his bar, I would think. Slow moving, but nice flat surface. Can bring those drinks to you. I don't know.
Yeah.
Finally, Hyperspace Heroes podcast. AZ3 because of his history with Omega and the clones. Nice to see him in this season, even just as a background character. Then he says, Scruffy disagrees. That's one of the guys in the show. Scruffy disagrees, though. He's all about the gonk. He's building an army of them. Wow. An army of gonks. It's like,
well, after watching this episode, I wouldn't be too surprised if there was an episode titled Army of Gronks coming up.
You got to hold that rage back until we're ready to talk about it. I can't wait. All right. Thank you, everybody, for sending in your responses. You all get entries, and we will send out another question of the week Monday, and you guys can get in on that action. So please do. Thank you. News. Who's playing Thrawn? So all along, we've been operating under the assumption that Lars Mikkelsen was going to be the obvious casting choice
to
play Thrawn. He was obviously the voice of Thrawn in the Rebel series for a couple seasons. So certainly he could pull it off. And in a recent interview, he was asked about it, and he said, and if he would be interested if offered. Oh, sorry. He said, I would be interested in if offered, but I haven't been. He's saying he's not been offered to play Thrawn. Is this misdirection, or is it somebody else, or are we going to get some sort of like, is Thrawn going to be like a fucking MacGuffin for season 1 of Ahsoka and we never actually see him?
Ooh, that would be pretty shocking.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. We talked about this in our chat, and I would not be surprised if they recast, I guess cast a different actor, a younger person.
Yeah.
If this is a character we're going to see for many years to come,
True.
You're going to want to just hire somebody that can play the character for many years to come. Because is Lars older than Mads?
I think he is. Isn't Lars
his older brother? So I'm guessing if Mads is in his 50s, like Lars is late 50s probably.
Let me look and I'll tell you. Sorry.
And if they're going to go with, like, I mean, we've seen, was it Rebels, where, Thrawn threw down, was fighting bots, and that's how he trained, and there was some, so, like, if we're going to see some aggressiveness come from Thrawn, not just the wits, I would think you'd want at least, like, a guy in his 30s.
He's 58, so it's not like he's in his 70s or anything, but
right.
He's kind of probably on the outer edge of what they would want to cast, maybe, given what you're saying. That's a good point.
I mean, I think Cumberbatch would be brilliant, but I don't see Cumberbatch doing it.
No, it didn't. Was it? There might have been a fake quote. Did you see that quote about how he didn't want to? Basically, he doesn't want to blow himself. He doesn't want to blue himself. He doesn't want to. Okay. There was some comment he made about being blue.
Yeah.
So the opposite of Ben Schwartz. Maybe Ben Schwartz should play him. He's always blue. Anyway, we'll see. We know we're going to see Sabine and Hera. We don't know necessarily if we're going to see Ezra. We assume we are, and we think we know who the actor is, but we don't know that's for sure.
I thought that was confirmed. I thought that actor.
I don't think it's Amon Asfani. I don't think we ever got confirmation. I think that was just the one that people settled on rumor wise, but I don't know that that's been confirmed by the show. I don't think so. So we will see. But I just thought, boy, if they did it the other way, I think you're right. I think they're probably going to cast somebody else if it's not going to be him, or he's full of shit. Yeah. But if they just held him off for the whole season and were like, you're not going to actually get him.
Is it a named actor? Not A-list necessarily, but is it someone like you got Rosario Dawson? That's a name. Playing Ahsoka. Do you bring in somebody with a little bit of clout to play Thrawn?
See, this is the tricky part, because if you are trying to go younger, who is a person, and not to say that, these younger actors that are maybe in their early mid 30s don't have clout, but it feels like Lars Mikkelsen has a little bit of weight.
Yeah, I agree.
And maybe somebody younger wouldn't. So I don't know. Star Wars has always been successful. The shows are different, but Star Wars has always been successful in bringing in young actors that you don't necessarily know, and that's the character you associate them with. You know what I mean? Like they've done it for years.
I mean, you bring in Pedro Pascal for The Mandalorian.
I mean, he had some notoriety, but like I'm thinking, original trilogy and some of the movies, they were not necessarily the biggest. Not some of them were not necessarily the biggest actors, and they forged a role because they became huge because of that. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I want to hear from you. We're supposed to 4 emails next week. We got to have more than one, right?
More than one. That's the rule. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
You'll love the emails this week. Skeleton Crew has wrapped.
Yeah.
Apparently, some of the stunt folks for the Skeleton Crew posted some IG stories saying, like, thanking the crew and everybody else, and it's great, and this was so fun to work on, and blah, blah, blah. Others have said that I think that what they're saying is principal photography. It is really difficult to speak today, Jay. I don't know what's going on with us.
I'm rubbing off on you. Did you get no sleep either? Have you worked?
I never get
75 hours in the last 4 days.
I don't know if I work quite that many, but I definitely don't get enough sleep. So it could be just that they're done with principal photography. They're still going to have to go back and do whatever those are called. Pickups, not pickups. What are they called? What are they called?
Now you've taken it away from me. Where they go? Yeah, it's pickup shots, but it's God dang it. It'll come to me.
Okay, they have to go back and do that. So the full on filming portion might not end until closer to March, but it seems like they're somewhat on track to, I don't know, probably come out, maybe mid to late fall would be my guess for that show. I would think. Yeah. So I don't know. It's an interesting series because it seems like we really don't know much about it.
No, that was filmed in the volume, right?
I think some of it was. I don't know if it was all in the volume. I think you're right though, because I think it was competing with maybe Ahsoka for filming time, or not Ahsoka, but something else. Anyway, Acolyte maybe. But I'm excited for the series, even though I think it's going to be quite a departure from what we've seen from other shows. And I like Jude Law a lot, so I'm in for that. Everybody wants to come back. So it seems like everywhere you turn these days, Jay,
everybody.
There's a story about someone wanting to come back to Star Wars.
And it's not even Celebration Week.
No, I mean, this is early. We're too early. We talked about Daisy Ridley being at Lucasfilm a while ago. She was at Sundance and did a couple different interviews. And she was asked about, like, would you want to come back for more? And she said, quote, I mean, I'm open to a phone call. I'm looking for employment. And kind of, shrugged and kind of gave like the Jim Halpert, kind of look on her face. If that is the case, and this may lead into your next theory, so we can skip ahead for a second and then come back to it.
Well, did you watch the video again after I said watch her face? I mean, there is a split second of, oh, fuck.
Like they know?
Like, well, it looks like her eyeballs pop out of her head, like as she's going to answer it. Like, she's like, oh, shit. To me, it was like a full-on, like, psychological, like what your face does when you're trying to hide a lie.
How does she not know that question's coming?
I know, but like it was, yeah, right, exactly. So
they get asked that every time.
She's a good actress. Maybe she's just like, I'm going to throw one at him here. Get the internet's talking.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. It seems like there's no way she's not going to come back in some capacity. Your original thought would be, well, there's that Lindelof film that's going to be in that sequel era, and does she have some sort of role in that?
Yeah.
But you have some theories that maybe we'll get to here in a second. Also, Ewan McGregor was talking about it. They keep asking him, "You want to do more Kenobi?" And he keeps just basically saying, "Yeah, I would do more Kenobi."
It's like, how do you not fucking like, even if it's not on the schedule, right? Like, how does Kathleen Kennedy not like, oh, Ewan's interested? Give me a screenwriter. Let's get this going.
I mean, at a minimum, you're putting it together to see what could we do.
Yeah.
Whether that goes all the way to production, who knows? But there's got to be ideas floating around right now.
Right. I think there are. I think they're waiting until Celebration to announce.
I'm hoping we get a just freaking cum shot of stuff come Celebration, just like all over our faces,
They bring out
some on my back.
They
whatever.
bring out Ewan, and then they bring out Hayden, and he just like tosses one on him. This one's for all the. He wanted it for years, you sickos.
Yeah, here you go. And then the other one was Alden Ehrenreich. He was talking in an interview recently, and he said, "quote asking about doing Solo again. The story that I did, I really got to be Han Solo at the end. That's kind of the arc of the story, which I thought was well done. That's the fun part. That's the guy that's the most fun to be. I'd be happy to, but who knows." And that's what we talked about when we've talked about Solo in a positive light, unlike some fucking people,
right?
Is that he starts out and he's not Han Solo. And then by the end of the movie, he really is Han Solo. That's how I feel.
I'm just going to go ahead and say it's called character development.
That would be a good term for it. Yep. And so now that he's got to that point, he's like, okay, well, now's the fun part. Now I get to play the guy that, we grew up watching.
Yes. That everyone wants to see.
Yeah. Who's a little bit more developed.
He's going to have a big year, though. Alden Ehrenreich. He's got, he had a movie that was just picked up in, what festival is out right now? Is it Cannes? Is it? Sundance, yeah. And it's like this super like psychosexual like thriller. Takes place in the finance world, and it's him.
Finance?
Yeah. It's him and the woman she was real big in the first season of, what's that show called that everyone watched on that? Bridgerton?
Oh, okay.
The blonde girl.
Gotcha.
And I guess it's like, it was the biggest thing. Netflix picked it up. Paid up $20 million. I think they bought the whole. Wow. They bought the film rights, everything for it. And that's like the biggest thing I saw. Everyone was talking about was how damn good that movie is. And then he's going to be in Ironheart, which is the character showed up in Wakanda Forever.
Oh,
it's the spin-off character for Tony Stark. So she's like Lady Iron Man, basically.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So, and he's a big character in that, I think. So yeah, he's gonna have a good year, and I think like facial recognition kind of sells a lot too, right? You got a hot actor. Everyone wants to work with him. Oh, let's do this Solo thing. So
right. And he was just in Cocaine Bear.
Oh, I can't wait to see that.
Has it come out yet, or maybe hasn't come out yet?
No, it comes out in a month.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those March movies. Like everything comes out in March.
Okay, wow, that'll be fun. It certainly makes a lot of sense. I mean, we've talked about doing some sort of Crimson Dawn series or show or something like that. I mean, certainly they could make Solo Part 2 and just fucking let Bryce Dallas Howard do it, and let's just move on.
Yes, we've said it here, folks.
We've said it. All right, do you want to get into this? Your theory?
Yeah, well, okay. So I'm trying to figure out this Ghost Track 17 and what it could be, right? Because if it is Her Majesty, which is the Beatles thing, that's what the title is supposed to be taken from. Like who's the Majesty, right? Like what royalty are you going to do? And I'm like, well, maybe it's just a word play, it's a tease, but like who would kind of be royalty? Like if you're moving forward in the Star Wars realm and still trying to keep with the Mandalorian universe, and it'd be like the Shadows of the Sith. I don't know if you've read the book yet, but it's
not yet.
Rey's parents. It's a story of them sort of like who they are and how Rey ends up on Jakku.
Okay.
Is some of the plot line in the series, and I to me I'm like, okay, well, she could be considered like a royalty, right? So maybe it's because I keep thinking they got Jodie Comer, who played Rey's mom in the 1-2 second shot you see in whatever damn movie that was.
Yeah.
She's been nominated for awards. She was great in Killing Eve, huge in what was the Ryan Reynolds movie she was just in, Free Guy.
Oh, okay.
So
why not use her?
Yeah. And tell that story, and it kind of leads into like it's all the cloning stuff that's happening in the Mandoverse that they're leading into. And I keep thinking they're going to have to do a time jump, a couple years, right? So I was looking up, like Rey was born. What did it say? It was 15.
Ooh, that's a good question. So
I think it was 15 because Kylo was born. It was like 5 or 6. Mando takes place in 9 ABY.
Yeah.
And then Rey was born a few years later. So it was like a 10-year difference between Kylo and Rey.
There is a 10-year difference between them?
I didn't realize that either. But looking,
Wow.
I think it said he was born in 6 ABY and she was born in 15.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
But I don't know. I'm just like, and you don't have to have Rey born yet.
Sure.
But you can have I don't know. It just seems like that seems to be something they could play with. Or, I mean, it does make sense. I don't know if they're going to go with a whole series with the Rebels cast. Like, why not just animate more? So, I don't know.
I mean, it certainly could be. I think we also speculated, are you going to do some sort of like playoff of the Kenobi series and make a Leia series?
Yeah,
where
right.
she's younger. You could do that. There's a lot of ways they could go with that if that is what they're trying to allude to is this whole. I mean, if that is a legit code name or whatever that's being used, those things tend to lead to what you're thinking. It's like the red cup
solo
deal and all that. Yeah, they all have some sort of tie. It's not as cryptic as you think. It's actually pretty straightforward. So we will see.
Yeah.
I hope you're right.
Just some speculation. I mean, I really like the Shadows of the Sith story, and I'd like to see something in that world still, where everything, because it seems to me like everything's going to start tying into that trilogy, the late trilogy, right? Whether you liked it or not, like they're going back there.
I'm sure they are, and it's yeah, exactly. There was highs and lows from that, but I think you could play off of that and make really good movies out of it and good series. I have not watched or have not read that book. It's on this long list I have. I'm still on book. I'm almost done, but I'm still on book 1 of I'm on the Heir to the Empire book.
Yeah.
And the sexual tension between Luke and Mara Jade.
Oh yeah.
Boy.
Yeah. Wait until the Palpatine's like, just let me watch.
Yeah, there is a lot going on there. She really hates him at first.
Palpatine's not even in the book. He's fucking dead.
Oh yeah, right. Exactly. He would be dead by then. Although somehow he returns.
So yeah, there we go. Why does everyone have a fucking problem with that line?
Because they think it's like a kind of a lazy way to explain how he came back. Like somehow he came back. I don't know.
Well, sure, but
it's a weird way to announce
of like
it.
Things they can fill holes in later on, and they've done throughout the years. But it's also like, why would that character know how he came back?
Well, true.
Like to me, it's like it fits him saying that. It's not like he's got some origin story. He's like, all right, everybody, sit down, campfire. We'll worry about this war later.
Are you guys familiar with cloning?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get a whole explanation of how it happened as we go through these series. Like you said, the
Yes.
Mandoverse is going to explain a lot of that. But at the time, yeah, that was all he knew. It just, it's funny because it is just this one almost feels like a throwaway line.
Yeah.
So somehow he's back. Okay, now let's move forward with the story. You know what I mean?
Well, in the sense that like he's not been spoken of in
Right.
several movies, and all of a sudden, somehow he came back. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Like there should have been
So,
somebody
I
in the
get that.
room when he said that was like, who?
Right. Yeah.
You missed,
He's a space wizard.
you missed history class, dude.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the Bad Batch, or as I would call it, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Scaranal. Okay, I'm scared to ask this, Jay. Overall thoughts?
Worthless. It was like I'm watching it the whole time thinking, okay, when something's going to happen? Like, what is it? What is the point of this episode? Tell me. What was the point of this episode? Oh, to have fun?
Yes, it's a lot of fun. You know what's
you
funny
can have fun
is
and fucking tell a story too.
I went back and I looked because I was like, do we have a counterpart for this, an equal in season 1? And I went back and looked at like the list of episodes, and I was like, even the ones we thought were kind of Mission of the Week style or whatever, they still felt like they had some sort of tie back to the overall story or something.
Yes.
This is the one that seems the most disjointed and just kind of a complete one-off.
It is. It's like, I don't know why the fuck they made this episode, unless like something from this episode ties in later. But like, this is the somehow he came back of the fucking Bad Batch. It's fucking pointless. There's no point in doing this. There was like, everything is the throwaway line for this happened. It was pre-Republic. Like this was 1,000 years ago, this planet, and they don't even know where the fucking place is, but she does. She's got a map to it, and they go there, and then it's just like they wake up this fucking Trojan horse with a laser in its fucking mouth, and then it zaps everything, and just before it's going to kill their ship, they take the key that's worth something, they put it back. Like, where's the fucking next set if you want to like get this bad boy going again? It melts in the ignition once it goes back in. It's like, none of this fucking makes sense. And then he's like, oh, I'm just going to fucking blow myself up. Like, he's got to self-destruct. You can only use this fucking thing once.
Oh my God.
It's like the anti-Voltron.
Can you please go to Wikipedia and fill out the episode summary for this one?
Me? Oh, I would be happy to. You give me time to fucking put something together. I will.
You get banned.
Favloni will hang themselves by Monday.
Okay. Well, I'll just say this.
How'd you feel?
It was definitely not my favorite episode. I'll say that. But I think what they were going for, if I'm guessing, is they wanted to give more development of Fee and who she is. And so they get into kind of who she is as far as like, she's obviously
full of shit.
She's full of shit, but she's also like this, like she wants to be a treasure hunter. And there's a lot of parallels to like kind of Hondo Ohnaka a little bit, although a little bit different because he's really after the money. She's kind of after the story. Like that's her whole thing, is just being able to tell these tales.
Right.
And the fact that she's got Omega just like eating it up. She's got Bolo and Ketch eating it up. That's what she loves. She kind of likes to kind of spin a yarn.
But it feels like there's almost absolutely no truth to her tales. Like I feel like this was the first adventure where something happened where she can go tell somebody something. They're like, oh, that didn't really happen. Like everything else, everyone's rolling her eyes, or you can tell like Hunter or Echo are like judging her. Like she doesn't even know what she's talking about.
I think she does, but I think she makes everything way bigger than it was. So I mean, I know people like this where there's always a nugget of truth that starts the story, and then every time it's told, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger because you watch the reaction of the people you're talking to, and their eyes get big, and you just fucking run with it. You know?
They're called compulsive liars.
So I think that was the point of that, was just kind of showing how she's really after the story. She's after the adventure. She kind of, she's well versed in a lot of this old shit, like a lot of these artifacts and different things that are part of lore. But everything she's throwing out is nothing that's been mentioned before.
What is she? Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, and there's no origin story. And she's like, it's the heart of the mountain. What are you talking about? Well, give me something. Like,
it was in the heart of the mountain, Jay.
Well, it wasn't a mountain. It
was there.
Walking robot.
But it was there.
Did it walk, or you know what this was? It was like they watched an episode of Power Rangers, and they were like, hey, let's do that. Kids like that. It just looked like that. It's like, I'm moving really slowly through the fake forest.
Well, and like you mentioned before, alluded to before, we did get a new droid. It was kind of a gonk astromech hybrid.
Yeah.
Sorta. And poor Mel. Things did not end well for Mel, but we'll see. Maybe we're still.
I like how she's like, oh yeah, we'll just put it back together. We'll be good. She's going to be knowing all my maps and routines and stories pretty soon. This fucking thing is pulverized.
Well, it's just going to put it into a new system. It's just like putting L3 into the Falcon, you know? All right, let's get into this. Episode 5, Entombed.
Oh, we've talked enough about this.
Well, we're going to work through it.
Okay. What is this, therapy?
Yes, it's therapy. You got to work through this. Maybe you'll find some value as we go through with all these nuggets. We open with Wrecker and Omega just looting a junkyard, looking for a compressor. And that's when Omega finds these other bits. And so they go back to Sid's, and that's when Fee is talking to Bolo and Ketch, who are just eating it fucking up. You know, they're just loving the story she's telling. Shout out, by the way, Hathorian Historian. They showed you Hathorian. So there you go. He's always waiting for it. Every time they don't show him, I just get this message. Where is he? She notices that one of the pieces that Omega got was this compass.
A MacGuffin.
There you go. Well, it works. It serves a purpose. It actually gets them to the heart of the mountain, so it does have a role.
Yeah.
She checks it with her droid, Mel, and it's got these coordinates to the Kaldar trinary system. And Jay, I just felt a disturbance in the Force. It's as if dozens of Star Wars map makers screamed in agony.
Again. Yeah.
Another new system.
Did we just talk about this last week?
Yes.
Like another fucking planet? What do you mean? It's like it's in that section that
Who's the
What's his
outer
fucking
rim?
name? Lars whatever. Is it him? No, he gives the map, but then who has the R2D2 has the other part of the map, right?
Yes.
And then puts it in there. It's like all these planets they keep talking about, it's in that one section that Luke hid away from everybody.
It's in the unknown regions, maybe.
Right.
I don't know. Hell, I mean, even Tech hadn't heard of this system. And if he doesn't know, that's a problem.
Right. Yeah.
So then we get another example of Hunter and the boys just being fucking enabling pushover parents. It's like Omega's like, Dad, please. And he's like, ugh. Every time Hunter's approached about a mission that he doesn't start, that he doesn't throw out, he's just like, okay, fine.
I just want an episode where he just like, you know what? We're fucking staying home this weekend. I've worked all week.
Right.
You're behind on your homework.
Get
the fuck out of my face.
There is no reason for them to go on this mission.
No,
none.
I know.
Right, because
they don't even fucking like. Why are they gonna follow Pee-Pee Head? Like they don't know her. They don't trust her. Oh, she wants to go on an adventure.
And what we've established already this season is that Echo and Tech and guys are starting to think about like, what's our role here? What do we really want to accomplish? We can't just keep doing the same fucking thing week in, week out.
I know.
Here it
Let's
comes again.
establish our new theory and then spend 3 episodes ignoring that.
Yeah, it's like they had a resolution and they worked out for 3 days and went, fuck it. I just want a pizza and beer and sit on my ass.
That's what it is.
All right, so they land on Kaldar and the compass activates and it leads them to this mountain and there's this secret entrance. And there's some creature, lurking in the shadows watching them. They get to this room, and Fee's like, oh, this is the entrance to Skaranal. Again, this is something we've not heard of before. And she's like, this holds this treasure called the Heart of the Mountain, predates the Jedi, and that's kind of when we go into full, like, Indiana Jones, or maybe Goonies mode.
Why does no one ask her what that is? Or do you think that this was that? Is this just, like, maybe this is, like, some old myth, so she doesn't know much. But, like, we get zero information.
I feel like she is so well traveled and has talked to so many people that she has all these bits of information. So she doesn't know the whole story. She knows about 65% of the story. 60%. So she's able to identify shit. Yeah, it's like our show.
Yeah.
She's able to identify stuff based on this lore that she's heard, but doesn't necessarily have really firsthand experience of it in any way. That's what I'm thinking.
I think you're really pushing this. I'm
just trying to get us through this episode.
Okay. All right. So I'll stay quiet. I'll just let you. I'm going to let you have your minute.
Thank you. Omega realizes the symbols are visible through the compass. So they realign the doorway after it almost crushes Wrecker.
Right.
Luckily, Fee saves him. And then that creature attacks and they're blasting and then it releases Wrecker just as they're like all of a sudden all these fucking boulders and shit fall down and they get separated. So Echo, Tech, and Wrecker are in one group and then Hunter, Omega, and Fee are in the other group. So like, okay, move on. We'll meet, down the road, whatever. So, oh, by the way, did you notice that sick ass cutlass Fee's rocking?
Oh, that's that's a cool knife. Yeah.
It looks like she got it at the same store as Hunter's knife.
Right.
It's kind of got that same shine to it and it cuts through anything. It's like a Ginsu knife or something.
Yep. Yeah. I thought the same thing. Just like, she's like, mine's bigger.
Right, exactly.
Now, why is this giant fucking gecko protecting the heart of the mountain?
I think it's just that's a good question, but I think it's just meant to be a local predator that's just like preying on anything that shows up. Yeah, right.
All right. Because there's tunnels all over the place, so I was assuming like, this thing's part earthworm.
Well, maybe. I don't know how it makes its way around because it does show up all over the fucking place. But
yeah.
As they approach the tunnel, Hunter just walks right up. Fee's watching him walk, and I'm like, does she know he's about to eat shit? Because clearly we all know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So he falls through, and luckily he's got his pincher's apparel, like Data and Goonies, throws that shit up, and Fee grabs it, pulls him back up, and then they realize, oh, like we got to put this compass in this thing and turn it. It's going to rotate.
And let me just say, this woman must work out.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
She's able to like, freaking T-bone Wrecker to get him out of the way. And this guy, is not a small man. And
with
you've
a lot
seen
of
what
gear.
He can lift every episode. And then like, a harpoon comes flying out of a hole and she just catches it and lifts his dead ass weight, 20 feet out of a hole. And she doesn't even break a sweat.
Super strength.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with Fee.
I think there's something going on here.
All right. She's got some sort of magical powers.
Yep.
So the crew meets back up. They get together again, and they enter this big cavernous room where they see the heart of the mountain, which is this purple, bluish stone. So Fee climbs down there, pulls it out, and you just know the second she's doing that, like something's going to go wrong. So what's going to happen? However, it's not exactly what I expected. Like when the whole fucking mountain came alive and that thing emerged, I was like, whoa. That was my one like whoa moment of the episode. I was like, holy shit, I didn't necessarily.
I'm waiting to see an edit on Twitter where someone just plugs in the "Go Power Rangers" as this thing comes out of the hole. Also, like, did they rip off the Fifth Element things like completely?
I'm trying to remember the Fifth Element.
Fifth Element. They were those little stone statues, and you put them all in the place, and then she was the Fifth Element, but they all had the waves on them. Each stone did.
Well, they're certainly borrowing.
Yeah,
from a lot of different things here.
It looked like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, this whole time, like when this thing emerges and it starts blasting. Uh-oh. You okay?
I just had this visual Fee in the Fifth Element outfit that Mila Jovovich is wearing.
That'd be a good look.
Oh, boy.
The whole time this dinosaur thing emerges, whatever you call it, a Trojan horse, and starts blasting shit with the laser, and which is basically you see why the whole thing is scorched earth. Poor little Mel, just trying to get away, about 2 miles an hour, debris falling everywhere. Kind of thinks she got away. She's
I was going to say I like the dick tease. Like the first one is like Mel's like, woo, got away from it, and the next one.
And then when you saw the laser go after Mel, were you like, she's still gonna make it? Like, nope, boom, just fucking dead. I think I actually shouted no right when that happened.
Oh wow!
They convinced,
you were into this episode
a little bit. I was trying to get into it. I only watched this episode once though, so that may tell you
I did too.
how I felt about it. They convinced Fee that they should return the stone to deactivate the beast or whatever you want to call it, and then here comes the monster again attacking them. And that's when Fee chases after the fallen stone, almost falls off the whole damn thing. Hunter, grabs her and pulls her back up, and then Wrecker tosses the thing out the window, which was a nice little move there. And then Tech replaces the stone. And then, like you said, right before it's about to hit the Marauder, they replace the stone and the thing just freaking melts.
Yeah.
And you're right. At that point, I thought, well, then who designed this? Are there other stones? Because yeah, like you said, if the key is taken out and then put back in and it melts every time, how are we going to activate this shit again? It's a one-time use only?
I don't know. I don't want to give it any thoughts.
Stop asking me questions.
Yeah, it's a one-time use, and then if you use it more than once, your key turns into a Jell-O mold.
That's right. Then it's gone, and you ruined it. Should have just kept the damn thing.
Maybe that monster shits out new keys once a year.
Maybe they're just hell to find. Yeah. Like as you mentioned earlier, Fee shares that she keeps Mel's memory stored in her ship's memory bank, and so that they can basically rebuild her. And I thought, so they're going to download this into a new droid. What exactly is this droid going to look like? Are they going to try to recreate just what that Mel looked like, or are we doing a whole different droid and putting that?
Maybe they're going to throw it into AZ, and then AZ becomes. There's a point to use AZ, or maybe the Gronk droid.
Yeah, maybe you could do the Gronk droid. I wondered about that, but oh well. She seemed real nonchalant about it. Like, who gives a fuck? It was just a body. I'm worried about its soul.
She got like early onset dementia. Like, what's going on with her? She doesn't bother remembering anything. I'm just gonna put it into my fucking droid.
It makes it easier. Hell, if you could do that, you probably would.
I would.
Yeah,
I need
all that shit in there.
Oh,
I think you should. Then you can
my
just
memory's going big time.
Would you have the droid sitting next to you for our podcast so that you could be like, droid?
Yeah.
Like for instance, whenever you go, the guy who directed what was that Droid?
Oh,
Spits it out.
I need one of those Avatar link ups where that thing just plugs right into my ass and immediately I remember everything.
That would be great.
Oh, I get on a microphone and I forget everything.
It's called podcast brain. It happens.
Yep.
And the last thing Fee says is they're heading to a place called Vadney to search for an ancient chalice. And that was the end of the episode. And of course, Hunter's like, oh, not again.
Well, were they going with, she was, the dad batch wasn't going.
Well, she was making it sound like they were all going.
Okay.
That leads us to what's next. So do we really think they're going to roll into another adventure with Fee, or are we going to just see them? We're going to see her down the road somewhere.
If they do, I quit the show.
You're gonna well, Mando's coming soon. So
we're 7 episodes in. If we don't get to some fucking story, this is Cole's, I'm going to be like the Book of Boba Fett.
I thought about Cole as I watched this episode.
Oh, yeah.
He would be torching this place right now.
Mm-hmm. I'm sort of summoning him right now.
Well, it's good. It's good that somebody's making that opinion.
This was a hard watch.
It was.
Because it's not like, I get it. And we talked about this. Sometimes you just got to have an episode for the kids. And it's an adventure. But I get nothing out of it. And if this was to introduce something for Fee, or there seems to be something they could have done that worked on more than one level.
I agree. There could have been more in it. I think all we got out of it is we got some character development on Fee. We see more of Omega kind of being taken by this whole adventure track.
Yeah.
We got some kind of tidbits of information, some exposition thrown out about ancient stuff, like ancient places and artifacts and things like that. That's kind of all we got out of it.
Right. Maybe her knowledge about ancient stuff and like maybe this gets her to like Mount Tannis or gets them there because she's heard of it.
Right. It could be the long play.
But there could have been a line of dialogue that kind of like laid the seed of that, right? There was just, this episode was just a throwaway to me.
Okay. Well, what do you think we're going to get next then?
I wouldn't be surprised if we got an episode where Crosshair's just fucking constipated. And the whole episode, like, he's just like, you know, having the sweats, like fever dreams on the toilet. Like,
do you have the Metamucil?
Yeah. It's like, where the fuck is this show going? My God.
Every time he sits down to shit. Officer CT, whatever, Admiral Rampart wants to see you. He's like, oh. Either I'm eating or shitting. He always calls
funny if they played out like Airplane or Hot Shots, you know, like it was just complete comedy for 25 minutes with Crosshair because he's not the person you play jokes on. I would enjoy that.
Oh, they should show him on a bender. Like he just has this episode where he goes off. Like he needed to shake off.
He's like one of those fun-loving drunks. Like all of a sudden he's got a personality. Everyone wants to hang out with him in the cafeteria.
Different accent comes out. Like, whoa, What is going on here? All of a sudden, he's kind of fun.
Oh, boy.
Oh, anyway. Next episode's called Tribe. My hope or thought is Kashyyyk. Maybe we go to Kashyyyk because we're supposed to see the Wookiees.
Right.
So I thought that's a possibility. The only other thing I could think of is something related to the clones. The next two episodes after this next one, so 7 and 8, are going to be, I think, more big storyline stuff because there's Clone Conspiracy is the name of one of them, and I can't remember the name of the other one. But so I think we have some big stuff coming up for that double episode we're going to get here in a couple weeks.
Oh, good.
So
I'm excited then.
I think this one's going to be like still somewhat of a one-off, but leading them to that next thing. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be a builder to the 7 and 8 episodes. That's my hunch.
I think when the DVD box set comes out, they'd leave this episode right out of it. Like just
It'll
like we're sorry.
It
should be like there should just be a card that says we're sorry, audience. Episode 5.
It's like we talked about last week with Cara Dune's death. Yes. Entombed. They went to a weird planet and something. Yeah. It doesn't worry about it.
You're missing nothing, Favloni.
Do you have any other thoughts on what it might be next? I think that's kind of it. I think you just want to move on with your life.
I have no thoughts. I didn't look up the episode, and really, it's really hard to tell where this show is going, right? Like,
well, what's funny too is usually you get a lot of episode reviews where they get into the weeds about what this might mean and that might mean. Boy, there wasn't a lot out for this one.
Oh, I didn't even bother to look.
It was
I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I would have actually been pleasantly surprised if you came here and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna spit some facts at you," and just blown me away.
I wish I could.
Like that was Admiral Thrawn's fucking toy box or some shit.
that was his toy as a child,
Yeah.
and it has grown and grown and grown. Oh man! All right, let's go to the Maul Bag.
Okay.
Hello there.
You've got mail.
Okay, as requested, we have more than more than one email, so we can read them. This is the email from Mike Laybourne last week. It's not much to miss out on.
Oh, you should have made it last just to keep him waiting.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. Sorry, Matt Damon. We didn't have time for Matt Damon. That kind of deal.
Yes.
If you had a rocket to the sun but could only fit one fan base, which would it be? Toxic Star Wars fans, Spurs fans. He's talking about Tottenham soccer, or Maple Leafs fans, Toronto Maple Leafs hockey. I would go Spurs, of course, and I'm guessing you're gonna go. Don't care. All of them.
Well, I wouldn't get rid of the toxic Star Wars fans because they love Star Wars in some way, right? I don't know who the Spurs fans are, so I'm going to get rid of them because I can't say anything bad about Canadians. Yeah, okay.
I can't say anything bad about Canadians. I'm under contract.
Yeah. I got 3 more years.
Email number 2, Brian Hour, referring to the last episode. I'm glad we got to see Tech sparkle and agree with Jay on being happy that Omega was not the racer. I wonder if the racer droid will be rebuilt, firing up another droid at the bar. Holy shit. Could you see Teo at that bar? How would he fit in?
I mean, if they get any more droids in there, it's going to look like that shot in the Mandalorian trailer.
It is. It is. Maybe too many droids.
They just start collecting dead droids all season.
The only thing I thought was, would he be a good bartender because he'd just be talking shit the whole time, or would he be lousy because he'd be telling you like how
he'd be like a really good waiter.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, he'd run. Oh yeah, because he'd
Pretty
just like
sassy.
tell stories and have fun and like. Yeah, well, sure. I guess he'd have to want to do it.
Yeah. Or he could be
Yeah.
the unintentional comic.
But he's got. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Monday nights. Come see Teo. Heyo, Teo. Monday nights.
And then he says, "Now read Mike's email." So he sent that first email just to bump along and get the Maul Bag back into play. Next email is from Brian Hour again. This is a long one. Given the appearance of Omega aging by about a year or so, we can now expect it to be about 18 BBY this season. Kenobi happens about 10 BBY, with Rebels being in the 6-1 BBY time frame. Got that, Cole?
6-1. Why do you go backwards?
Because it starts at 6, and we're going toward the Battle of Yavin.
Oh, BBY. I'm sorry.
Yeah, not ABY.
Yeah, okay.
BBY. He says, Omega is now wearing a helmet similar to the Rebels on Endor, though. I didn't think about that. Does it?
Yeah, I didn't either.
I guess it is kind of like that.
I think I like where he's going here, but I think he's really reaching.
Yes, he is. The Rebels often may do, though, with older cast-off equipment, but does this foreshadow the Bad Batch being early spec troopers for the Alliance? They seem to follow the West End Rebel Alliance source book for spec troops. I was like, what in the fuck is this?
I just have to stop Hour right here and say, why are you listening to this show?
You know way more than us.
Like, what are you getting out of this? Like, he's spitting shit I've never even heard of before.
Yeah.
He needs to do a podcast.
Maybe he does it because it makes him feel better about himself because his knowledge level is so far above ours. He's like, these fucking idiots.
Oh, like every week he's like, well, actually.
He probably has a
Yeah.
a document and just never sends it. It's like Creed's blog on Office.
Yeah.
So I looked this up. It was almost like a D&D style role-playing game or something, this game. So, because he said, a hunter would be an infiltrator, wrecker, heavy weapon specialist, technical pilot, Omega, Pathfinder, and Crosshairs urban guerrilla. Then he corrects himself later. He says, granted, the source book was first printed in 1990, but a lot of their discovered material has popped up, such as the rolling turbo tank Juggernaut from Episode 3 in Rogue One. The turbo tank.
Look, Hour, I'm going to need you to send pictures when you start talking shit. Like, who are you talking to? Like I'm just like, oh, yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'll have to look up the picture for that one. Then he said, P.S. Now it's not just Mike, so we can make the ginger audit. So he, again, is trying to really push forward those emails. Then he says,
I do appreciate that.
I forgot Echo, who as a former ARC trooper, he would actually be a Space Marine. When I think of Space Marines, you know what I think of? Aliens.
Oh, okay.
They were
I was
Space
going
Marines.
with, Starship Troopers.
Oh, that was good too. Yeah, good point. That fucking movie was so funny. Finally, email number 4 from Ty, 213pod. Hi guys, should I punish my 8-year-old daughter for using a Kiwi accent to ask me if I want to watch The Bad Batch so that it sounds like she's saying, "Be bitch," and she starts giggling because she knows she's getting away with something? Side note, I think her favorite fast food is Dick's Drive-In. That's a burger joint in Seattle.
Okay.
Just so she can say Dick's over and over without getting into trouble.
Look, just as long as she's not going to Dick's Drive-In when she's 18.
Well, it's one of those where it's always the joke. I got a bag of Dicks here. Do you?
Okay.
He says, sorry for listening behind, but I still enjoy
Is it a hot dog restaurant?
It kind of sounds like it. No, it's burgers.
Okay.
Sorry for listening behind, but I still enjoy the show and look forward to your breakdowns on Tick, Rekka, Hunter, and Echo.
I like it.
Thank you.
No, I don't think you should punish her. She's watching Star Wars, and she should be, you know what, just let her do her thing.
When does she get to listen to this show, to our podcast?
Yeah, I mean, we've had kids listen before. Don't know why, but
let us know if it ever happens so that we know exactly what the reaction was. Is it just going to be one of those where she
in
looks...
fact, give us a heads up and we'll record a full episode for her.
She's going to look into her dad's eyes and just slowly put the headphones down. Just so disappointed. This is what these guys, you know these guys?
And Ty's a pretty smart guy. I listened to 2 on 3. Like, she's going to look at him and like, you're dead to me.
Yeah, why do you listen to this crap?
Yeah. Father, I thought I knew you. Also, real quick, Ty, your shirt is coming.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that. And yeah, speaking of that, we really need to work on that logo. I'll try to send you some ideas so we can get some new merch out there.
All right.
FACPAtoid?
Yes. Is this for me? Okay. All right. This is true, by the way. Have you read it?
No, but
Okay.
didn't you say something it was coming later? It was something related to, yeah.
Yeah. This episode of The Bad Batch, Entombed, will go down in history as the single most pointless and worthless episode of The Bad Batch to exist. From now till the end of the series, if there's an episode worse than this, I promise you, Matt, and the audience, that I will be found at Skywalker Ranch 4 days after it airs with both parts Favloni dead at my feet as a result of my ginger rage, going full Darth Vader through the hallways of Skywalker Ranch, a la Rogue One. Dead fucking serious.
This is going to be a shot of you
I wrote
showing
that in the
up.
heat of passion.
It's going to be a shot of you showing up, and they're going to be like, angry ginger? Bzzz.
Just like play the soundtrack on a Walkman and just like storm that place. Oh
no.
I did not like this episode.
I hope that we can cleanse our palate next week with Tribe and you find some value in it. But it was a tough week for you. I understand.
I have faith. I have faith. I mean, I've enjoyed this show immensely so far. It's just this one was just so
bit of a stinker.
Beyond it was just it didn't do anything for me. And like you said, I don't think it did much for anybody if like there's nobody on the internet to even talk. I did see Bad Batch trending today on Twitter, but it was all like it was most of it I think I saw was everyone just kind of like, oh no, what was the droid's name?
Mel.
Yeah, Mel, and it was a shot of the laser like wiping Mel out, and people were upset about it.
Yeah.
And
I think that's what people are probably taking from it is they like because people love droids.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they were sad about Mel. Maybe there were some elements of it where they were like, oh, this felt like I said, like Goonies, Indiana Jones style or whatever. But I think people are probably reaching a little bit to make this into a better episode than it was. Because, yeah, it was certainly my least favorite episode of The Bad Batch that I've seen so far.
I will be shocked if there's elements from this episode that come back to like thread.
It's possible. The old callbacks,
Mm-hmm.
that's possible. That could get tied in somehow. I think they also are just trying to make us care more about Fee because her role will probably come up, big later in the season.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, they didn't introduce her for nothing. So,
Right.
So yeah, listeners, I'm sorry if you enjoyed the episode, but thank you for listening. And until next time,
In our experience, there's no such thing as luck.
we have spoken. This episode sucks.